welcome to the Pikeville City Manager's Report. I'm your host, Jill Fraley-Dotson, as always here with Pikeville City Manager Donovan Blackburn to talk about all of the wonderful things, great events, and things coming to our beautiful city. It seems like every couple weeks when we have our show taping that we have a whole list of new things to talk about. So before we go any further, let's go ahead and start talking about Code Red. It's a new feature that is being implemented by the city and the county to make us as safe as we can possibly be. You know, we've had so much terrible weather as far as ice and snow and things of that nature. Going into the spring season, that's not going to change. We will see storms and high winds and heavy rains. So talk a little bit about Code Red.
Well, first of all, good morning. And you know, Code Red is a great program, Jill, and you know, I'm very honored that both, again, the county and the city partner Doug Tackett with the emergency management program with Pike County and working with Paul Maynard with the city got together, and it was something that we actually had planned on doing 2 years ago. And we had a system that we were utilizing, but it really wasn't up to our standard and what we really wanted to see happen. But Code Red is one of the leading notification programs countrywide. It's got a lot of benefits and features in it that that will really be a great blanket for our community, meaning, you know, to protect them, at least give them advance warning of various events. So again, but you know, I speak on the partnership because what's good for the county is good for the city and vice versa. And this is one of those programs, again, that as you just mentioned, we're getting ready to go into the spring season, and our weather has been very unique over the past couple of years.
That's a good way to put it. Especially seems like since January 1st, it's been one thing right after another, one snowstorm after another. And fortunately, we haven't seen a lot of really bad problems just yet, just with the road conditions, but no power, not a lot of power outages like we've seen before. But it's just been one of the most different winters that we've seen in years.
Well, I mean, it really has, and I think the spring, you know, looking at some of the long-range forecasts, and part of what emergency management does is we get some statistics and some things that the general public may not see on the weatherchannel.com, but you know, that shows what the trend is, and this year will be no, I mean, as it progresses, it will probably be a unique weather event year. You know, today is the weather. It's 70 degrees today. By the end of next week, we're supposed to be back in the 30s. But you know, today there's a severe weather thunderstorm warning for this evening with some possibilities of some torrential rain, and with the possibilities, as I mean, I haven't looked at it today. This was yesterday late evening, of some possibility of some tornado warnings. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and we think back at what happened 2 years ago,
yeah.
and what could happen, and you know, part of our responsibility is to be prepared, to be ready, and to protect our citizens. And you know, and I'll say this tongue-in-cheek in a sense, but you know, a lot of governments, what the city and county included, we don't see everything eye to eye, and that's just part of politics. No, you know, and that's why we've got the greatest political system in the world. Is because we have the right to disagree, do it civilly. But one thing that everybody agrees with is ensuring that both the county and the city governments is ensuring that our citizens are protected and given the very best that we can possibly give them, in the sense of, in this case, give them advance or an early warning. You may recall last year the city invested in a substantial grant we received, and then some other investments that we put into to create an early warning system with our siren system that you hear tested monthly. So we've got that new feature, and then on top of that, with a system such as Code Red, being able to do advanced texting and phone calls to, again, notifying people of the threat of whether it's a severe thunderstorm or possibility of a tornado or a flash flood, et cetera.
Let's go back to just a moment. You mentioned the siren system that we have now, and I will tell you, as a person who lives in the city limits, when I hear even the tests go off, it reminds me that we do have that system in place, and I do feel a whole lot safer because we do have the early warning system. I don't know how many times we've actually used it for severe weather to this point. Do you know how many times?
I don't. I think maybe once.
Yeah.
And I was actually out of town. I think there was a possibility of a tornado coming through.
The winds had
high
really picked
winds.
up to a certain level. But just when I hear the tests go off, it does make me aware and very, I know that we're safe and we're protected. So the Code Red system is just one more step to make us feel even better as community members and as citizens of Pikeville and Pike County, to know that we do have a system in place where we can be alerted, because we do not want anything like happened in West Liberty a couple of years ago to surface here.
Absolutely, and Julie, speaking on behalf of the commission, and I will do this in this case because I've sat in meeting after meeting with the mayor and the commissioners talking about the need to ensure that we protect our public, and that's, again, I would say they put that above all else, but in essence they do. In the years that I have served, we were the first city in the state to implement the new 911 system that we have. It was an advanced system at the time. There are other systems out there now. We continue to look at upgrades, so they put the 911 system in. For the first time, we implemented a director of emergency management. We have, with the 3 fire stations, which 2 now, we've got 1 temporarily closed, and it's under construction. But we're within 5 miles of all, or strategically placed within 5 miles of all our residents within the city. I think all but 1 resident, I'll say. So we've got an average of a 4.5-minute response time for police and fire, and that's important. That's important for quality of life, Jill, because if you're the one at home, and I'm not just talking about from the standpoints of Code Red, but just safety and security and public protection in general, but if you're the person that's home that your spouse or your child is hurt or having a heart attack, having an ambulance there, and we have a 24, the only department that has a fire department with an ISO rating of 4 and has a 24/7 full service department on staff with many certifications. And that's not to say, there's some great volunteer programs out there. Our department actually does a lot of the training for the volunteer programs. Randy Courtney is a major player with the volunteer services, so we understand the significance of that. But the citizens of Pikeville and their businesses are protected by full-time 24/7 police and fire. And with a 4.5-minute response time on average, that's important when it comes to saving lives or response time. And on top of that, when you layer into the advanced warning systems that we now have implemented over the past couple of years, we've put a considerable amount of money in different grants that we've applied for, that we've gotten equipment in, reconstruction equipment. It's amazing at the technology that's now available. The commission just approved I'm trying to think of the name of it, and I just lost it, but where you can sense body heat with a camera, a thermal imaging. Mm-hmm. I knew it'd hit me in a second. We've got 2 cameras. We just got a grant to buy a 3rd one. And again, when you've got somebody that's trapped in a fire, that camera is a matter of life and death. So Pikeville is very, very well equipped. And then on top of that, this system and our cooperative effort with Pike County Emergency Management and the city, this is going to be a great system to have. So when the phone rings or the text goes off and there's a threat of immediate danger, you'll have advance notice to protect yourself. To your point, to the unique weather that we're having, we're getting ready to go into the flooding season, and the tornado season. But regardless of whether it's high winds, tornadoes, floods, water, we're prone to all that here in the mountains. So this is another great advancement for the community. So
what time frame are we looking at as far as to have this? Is it implemented now?
Today.
So
Yes.
How do residents sign up to get those texts?
Very good point. I'm glad you asked that because I would have forgot it. You can either log on to the county's website or the city's website. In our case, it's www.cityofpikeville.com, and you'll see it right in the very center of the page in big bold letters, Code Red. So you simply click on that. I actually, before we went live, we had the ability of seeing the website. So I actually registered myself, was one of the first to go on and register, and have had a couple of notifications. So it is up and running. It is working. Actually, I received a call yesterday from Doug Tackett, just a voice telling citizens that this service was available. So if you may have already received a call telling you to log on to the website, either website to sign up. And then I received a text yesterday from the system. So the system is up and operational. We urge people out there in the community to log on to the system because, again, it could be the difference in between life and death. And
And let
I
me
don't
say
want to.
this too. This is a system of text alerts and phone calls. You don't necessarily, if you don't have, say you work at an office where you have a computer, you can go to cityofpikeville.com. But also if you, like, we all carry our cell phones. They're always around. You can go to your browser there, do the same thing, and it will immediately sign you up for the text alerts. It only takes probably 2 minutes to go ahead and do, or less.
There is some screens that you can ask that ask for some advanced information if you wish to go into, but the basic information is probably less than 2 minutes to sign up, and then again it's another safety blanket to protect your family and yourself, and on top of all these other initiatives, with the city of Pikeville's early warning system and police and fire protection, and then this system, I'm very happy to say that I believe the commission did their job.
Oh, I think so too. And with everything being in real time and the fast-paced lives that we all have right now, that getting a text message or a text alert, I know a lot of school systems do that with school closings and delays, it is instant. It is right then. So you will know in a split second exactly what's going to happen and can be warned, and you never know when you're going to save the lives of somebody. So I do think you're exactly right. I think they got it exactly right this time with the Code Red system.
Well, and we certainly appreciate the county's cooperation and or working relationship to make this happen for the citizens of our area and within the city and the Pikeville as well. So
cityofpikeville.com, go to the Code Red, click on it, and sign up for your text alert. Of course, it will. You never know when you're going to be the one that benefits from that. Now, we've heard a lot about the Heritage Museum in the paper, and I know at a recent show that you did talking a little bit about that. Let's go ahead and update everybody, if you would, on the Heritage Museum.
Yeah, again, just to touch base on, because it's been on the lips of a lot of different folks, and not to. Hopefully, the folks have watched the show that the judge and I have done. If you have any questions regarding the intent of the museum, you can go on to piketv.com and pull up the archive file and watch that show, and it'll be a little bit more descriptive. I'm not going to sit here and go through every single detail, but the things I would highlight, Jill, is that history is important to this region because there is a lot of history here. A lot of our nation's history is here when you look at things like the Hatfield-McCoy feud, or even something such as the story of Garfield, Daniel Boone, and there's so many interesting stories of different personalities and different events that occurred within our region. So history is extremely important, and the commission understands that and agrees with that as well, and supports the intent of moving the museum to a larger facility in an area that is that's conducive to what it's going to be used for. But in a nutshell, what I want the folks out there to know is, if you've read the story about the museum, or if you don't understand what's going on, is that both the county, the city, and the museum board all agrees and understands with the intent that we're taking, and each entity has vowed to work together to look for an alternative location. However, the fact is that the museum was a victim of circumstance. And what I mean by victim of circumstance, we all have passions in our life. There's things that I want, that I'm passionate about, and that's great. That's what makes a program work sometimes, is people are associated with that. So history, people that are really engrossed and entrenched in this history component has been somewhat upset by the fact that the museum is being either relocated or closed. But as a city commissioner, they have to put their passion aside at times, and they have to fulfill the commitment of what they've been elected to do, and that is to serve the people and to adhere to their fiduciary responsibility, meaning that the museum, being a victim of circumstance, is that they've had a lot of illness, and that's personal and I won't go into that, but their curator, their chairman, there's been some illness issues, and the museum has been unable to open on a regular basis because of this. The city commission also understands that it cannot take taxpayers' money and put it into a facility that it's not for what its original intended use is and was, to be able to serve the people of this area. So the intent was, we had been approached by numerous folks or businesses, potential businesses, with an interest of opening a new business, that instead of the taxpayers' money being spent for something that's not been able to remain open due to circumstance, not that the commission's opposed to our history and doesn't support several of the artifacts that's in the museum. They do. and they are more than willing to work with whomever. And in this case, we've got a great relationship with the county on this issue to try to work towards a solution, which I believe that we will. But instead of the city using taxpayers' dollars for something that is unable to remain open or open just periodically, if the commission can take that same asset, which in this case is a building that's located on the boulevard, right down from our hotels, right across the street from a university. It's a very important building and it has a lot of history involved in it. If they can take that and open that business up for a young entrepreneur or somebody or an existing corporate business to come in and invest in that building to keep it at the level it needs to look and be, but in the same sense, instead of spending dollars, that it creates jobs, it creates tax base, and creates a sense of vitality in our community, then that's what the commission has a responsibility to do. And they would be negligent if they didn't do that. So understanding that was the intent behind it. There's more to the story than, the commission woke up one day and decided that we're going to close the museum. That's not the case. If you watch the show that I did with the judge, you'll understand that. Now, with that said, Judge Rutherford is very passionate about the history of this area as well. He's got some personal artifacts that are in the museum, as well as several of my friends that are in the community have some artifacts in the museum. So the county is very committed to working with the city and the city with the county to find an alternative location that may be in an existing building to where that expense is not being burdened necessarily just by the taxpayers. Now my understanding is, and I don't want to speak on behalf of the county, the judge was able to do that for himself on the show, but because of the county's their passion for preserving the history and looking for our opportunities, they're committed. There was some money, my understanding, that was available in the past coal severance line item that the county will be able to spend in order to fix up a couple of locations that they have in mind. And I won't say it's going to be in 2 locations. My understanding is they've got a couple of locations that they're interested in. But what we've agreed to do is to come back together as a group, sit down, instead of it just being a city board, because that's the other thing very clearly stated is that the city commission set this board up in 2002. This board was, the city commission, the elected officials, was responsible for the integrity of the board, integrity of the museum, and to ensure that what it was originally set up for, it was being adhered to. And circumstances change due not to anybody's fault. It was because of the circumstance of illness in this case. So their board understood this and agrees with this. There's no hard feelings with their board, the county, the city. We're all working together for the same good to try to preserve these artifacts and to have a showing, but also to be aware that we need to use taxpayers' dollars in the best possible interest that we can to return investment and create jobs. Because honestly, Joe, if we don't really focus on job growth and opportunities, there's not going to be anybody around to be able to tour these attractions.
Right.
So that's where we're heading. And with that said, I do believe I got a call from Commissioner Carter. Jimmy Carter called me last week and said, Donovan, with the museum, we already had money allocated in the budget for the museum, and that if the county, if we create a joint board instead of just a single board, which is the way it should be, because we need voices from the county, because this is the county's heritage also, to work jointly, then what we could do is that I would make a recommendation, and maybe at the next commission meeting, that the dollars that we had left over, which is probably about $10,000, that wasn't spent this year, that we would offer that money to the county as a grant with what they have with their single county to try to take this location and try to, because there's going to have, my understanding, there's going to be some construction and some things to get it where it needs to be to make it ready. So there is a cooperative effort. Everything's being done with a sincere heart, but also looking at the best interest of the taxpayers and the community as a whole. Now, the other thing I'll say to that is that there is, as I mentioned, several businesses has an interest. However, the City Commission has a bigger plan here. And if you look at the city's comprehensive plan, that goes back to 2005. We just completed another one. Tourism, industrial growth, all these things are important to secure the future for Pikeville and Pike County. So we are working with a couple of large businesses, I'll say it that way. But in government, we are very transparent. And the commission has been, there is no no other agency out there, in my opinion, is more transparent than the Pikeville City Commission. And the intent is there are certain guidelines within the law that allows the commission discretion to go into closed session, and recruitment of or working through business deals is one of them. And I'll give you a perfect example: the retail developer. You know, the commission has made great decisions along the way, and they've brought, nobody can argue that over the last 10 years that I've been here, because that's the time frame that I've been here and have worked for, that the city hasn't grown at a rate that's far greater than most communities across the state, and we've been recognized for that. And it's because good decisions have been made for the right reason. So in a negotiation period, and the retail developer is one example of that, is that we go out, and my job is directed by the commission to go out and to recruit somebody into the market. In this case, we had property set aside down by Walmart that we realized was going to be for retail development. I was able to go out and recruit a developer in here. However, through the confidentiality agreement and understanding, that developer was not willing to spend thousands of dollars coming in and doing the due diligence in the market and looking at how he can put the deal together if we were out there broadcasting that we're doing this deal, because then what happens is his competition comes in and tries to undercut, and then we end up losing both, which has happened. So again, the law allows for certain things such as personnel, legal, and economic development discussions such as this to remain confidential. The county, has done it for years. The city has done it for years, and will continue to do so. Now, with that said, what the law also requires is that before a deal is done, completed, that it has to come before the public to be voted upon. So that's the point to where everything is released. You don't, again, for the intent of the confidentiality to create these opportunities, if a company comes in and says, this is confidential and that we don't want that information out for several reasons, then we go under a confidentiality clause, and then we go into closed session, we discuss those issues. But then if we're ready to sign a contract with that company, then that then comes out and is debated and discussed in open session. And then if that agreement is signed, then any documents that were created, whether it be in closed session or not, is then subject to open records or to the public's viewing. So it's not that these documents aren't susceptible to the public. They're just susceptible at a point to where you get past the confidentiality agreement. And the reason I bring that up is that trying to get folks to understand in the community of what's going on with a lot of these planning and a lot of this, the horse trails with Betty Tackett, the retail development. I could go over many examples, but it's how business is conducted, and it's been very beneficial because it's working. Where other communities are suffering, this community has flourished for the last 10 years in comparison. So we've got some good plans, some things that we're under some confidentiality agreement. If what I think will come to fruition, I believe that the community is going to be extremely excited to hear, because it is all about job growth, about opportunities. I just mentioned a lot of it evolves around tourism. And some of the things we're going to be very talkative here in just a minute about some other initiatives that we're working for. So I just wanted to kind of explain, just take a moment and step back and explain what the significance of the museum is that, as the judge said, if everybody will hold on and kind of look at the facts and not just listen to the gossip, then you'll understand that there is real true intent behind this. It's for the common good of the people. The city commission is the meetings are open to the public, and if you have any input, I've been there 10 years. The commission welcomes it and loves to hear it.
Certainly do. Now, you mentioned Miss Betty Tackett just a moment ago, and I know this week we actually saw some movement at the barn. I know a friend of mine was up there yesterday and got to see two beautiful horses up there. There were some little miniature horses up there too. I know Betty's excited to get started. So bring us up to speed.
Oh my gosh, again, Jill, with all this stuff going on, it's really easy to get me excited. I'll try to keep it calm down. I know I can start bouncing
Control
around.
yourself.
Well, I mean, this is just another great opportunity. Here's a local entrepreneur, somebody that
And she really is an entrepreneur. I mean, she has been in the horse business for years. She owned a restaurant up until December, and now she's with the Dream Stables.
Yes,
Is
Dream
that right?
Stables, yes. And somebody that's been, to your point, has been around the horse industry for years and years and years, the expert in the field, very well respected, and has vested in her community. And that's what I want. Mm-hmm. That's what the true entrepreneurial spirit is somebody that really invests and believes in their community and is able to take that expertise and that business background and knowledge and make something happen. And here's a great opportunity. Again, the mayor is Frankie's a horse lover. Absolutely loves animals. He's a veterinarian, as you know, a licensed veterinarian. So this is been his passion projects as we brought up the possibility of us applying for a grant. You know, the city has invested close to $400,000 now in creating this new horse trail, as we've mentioned, and we had the right. You know, we're shifting a lot, Jill, and it's what the commission's true belief is through job growth, is instead of government trying to be everything to all, meaning that it shouldn't be government out there that's operating these facilities, because in essence we're using taxpayers' dollars and we don't really have the skin in the game per se, versus bringing somebody in that is an investor. We have the complex. She's using her horses, her expertise, her knowledge to create a mechanism versus the city doing that. So now you've got somebody that's coming in that's got skin in the game, that wants to be successful, that's got a history and a background. So we've invested in the facilities. We've now got a partner, so it's a private government partnership. And again, I keep saying to your point, because they're great points, but if you've been up to the barn, you'll see these beautiful horses that she has so much love and affection for, these ponies, miniatures. But when we first started talking to her, Jill, it was just about doing the trail rides. And that led into doing educational programs in all the city and county schools. It led into doing birthday parties, which I think is
genius.
It's. I mean, understand what she's doing. It's not just having horses up there for you to ride. She's actually having the party supplies and the cake and the whole caboodle. You come up for a set fee and you get X amount of rides. And she's got a great little riding ring up there.
One of the great things, too, about that facility, and I'll mention this, too, because I know there are so many people that are excited about it, it is one of only 2, I believe, places in the state of Kentucky where it is handicap accessible.
Yes.
And that's a huge, huge plus for our area. You know, we have the Randy Jones Park for disabled children or handicapped children. Now we have another opportunity for parents, and not just parents of children, but if you have a family member, middle-aged or even the elderly people that can go up there, and if they might have some sort of disability, can still take part in the beauty of what the horses provide.
Again, another excellent point, and the answer to that is yes, and we're very proud of that fact, is that, and I'll say this, we're human, we sometimes miss things. But one of the things, again, that the commission put me on, it's been 3 years ago, I guess, in working with Jimmy Canny and the Hillbilly Christmas in July organization, and people like Randy Jones and Wes Blackburn, that contributed so much of their heart and soul.
Blood, sweat, and tears, so much of it.
They're no longer being with us, but this is testaments to their hard work and what their belief is. The commission has been a major supporter of this. Jill, one of the things that may not be known is when you look at downtown at a lot of the sidewalks around the downtown area, the way that under the ADA guidelines is as you replace a sidewalk, you have to make them handicap accessible with the ramps coming off. Well, the city, we are doing a little at a time, but we are, without being required to do so, at the commission's request, going down and taking a lot of those sidewalks and creating the ramps, again, just to make them wheelchair accessible, so that when you look at the park, we put a couple of accessible benches in there for handicap accessible. When you look at the playground in the park, you put the ramp in so that a child in a wheelchair or crutches would be able to get into the playground without having to step over. So there's been a lot of thought over the past several years into providing needs for those that have special needs. The partnership with the Randy Jones Special Needs Park was no different. I know a lot of the love with the Hillbilly Christmas in July organization, and these are, we've had the opportunity of working with this organization for many years, and these people have hearts beyond hearts. They really work hard, believe in their mission. These are great friends of mine, and this was an example. So when we looked at the horse trail, it was one of the first things that the commission, I was won't say surprised because the question was asked, is because we are with the special needs park, and this is what we're growing towards. What can we do to make this a special needs facility? So it does have a special needs ramp on it, so that therapeutic riding and special need riding would be able to be offered. And then looking at what Betty's background is and what she's able to offer, I mean, it was just a perfect fit. Now, this past commission meeting, we've talked on air about our contract with Betty and the services that she is offering, but we were able actually to sign an addendum to the contract with her that was passed at the last meeting. And I know we talked a little bit about it, but it is now solidified. There's ink on paper to where Betty will be got tongue tied.
Betty will be offering.
Offering,
It's
thank
hard
you.
sometimes.
Carriage rides downtown. So she's bought her, this beautiful, beautiful vintage type horse or carriage for rides. She'll be doing historical trail rides. She bought 2 new horses specifically for that purpose. These are trained for high traffic areas, and it's a little different training but she's got her horses. So Betty's making the investment in her community. So what we're asking is for the community to be invested in Betty.
Invest back.
So,
right.
Get involved. We're hoping the weather, looking again at opening the actual park in April, probably this weekend if the weather holds true. I'm going to go up and we may have a little small trail ride just to kind of look at some of the things we need to make some improvements on. So getting ready and ramped up for the business. But the addendum, again, for Betty operating the service downtown, the historical tours, and then the other thing that we've done is the Hatfield McCoy bus tours, and she will be taking over that business as well. Again, privatizing that business so that she'll be able to offer both. You can do a carriage ride, and then when your carriage ride is over, the things you didn't get to see, you'll then be able to transition over to the bus and be able to go and see Perry Klein Cemetery, which the horse couldn't get up to, or going to see Randolph McCoy's site. So it offers her another opportunity, but also puts somebody into the program full time that has skin in the game, that wants to see it successful, and that's the key to all this.
I like your term, skin in the game, because that's really what it is, investing back in your community. And I think about what we talked about this previously with the horses that she has acquired for this particular purpose, for the carriage rides and things of that nature. We think about going to Lexington and we see the carriage rides there. In Louisville, they have it. In cities like Charleston and Chicago, they offer these sorts of things. So with all of our events that go on downtown, especially on the weekends, Fridays and Saturdays, that's when these tours are going to be offered. So
yes.
It's going to be, although we're on a much smaller scale, everything that you would want to do in a bigger city, you're going to be able to do here, which is exactly the purpose in all of it.
Well, and I go back to, Jill, I go back to the bigger vision here, because there's a lot of other things that's going on right now. And if things come to fruition that we think that they will, that we're working very hard on, then it really truly changes the tourism industry as a whole. One of the things that I'm very glad, we value our partnerships, and the county tourism is no different. They have Tony and his team has a lot of great vision when it comes to doing the marketing aspects. We do most of the events, they do most of the marketing. But for the first time, we're taping on Thursday, tomorrow, the county and the city tourism boards are actually having a joint meeting for the first time ever. We're bringing both of our boards together for a public meeting to sit down to talk about all these initiatives and how we need to work together to promote Pike County and the region. We've got some folks coming from Frankfort from the Tourism Commission to come and listen to us on what our initiatives are. So the intent, again, is just like with Code Red, just like the museum, just like now with tourism, is to form a partnership and to utilize resources so that we don't have a duplication in services, and so that we are looking for the best interests of the community. So, again, I'm excited by the fact that our 2 tourism boards are coming together to work for the common good of the people. But on the same sense, when you look at all these initiatives that are going on, to your point, you don't have to go to Lexington. You don't have to go to Abington. You're going to be able to see good theater here, whether you're going to Elkhorn City for the Arts Collaborative Theater or Jenny Wiley Theater. You're going to be able to come here and horseback ride. You can walk a trail, a path. You can attend, an event. And you can ride the river trails. You can do all these different things that, quite honestly didn't exist 2 years, 3 years ago.
Right.
So all these things are and and that's why I'm proud to work for this commission, is because that's what they've been looking at all along, is the diversification of our economy. We realize the giant that the Pikeville Medical Center and the great leadership that is there that has really grown that facility. We've realized, again, with the university and what it's undergoing, there's some great announcements coming up with the university that has forever changed our landscape in the investment in education. But from the commission standpoint, it's looking at industrial growth, and that's why Marion's branch was so important, why the commission fought so hard for that. Commercial air service, again, opening ourselves up, that's why the commission fought so hard for it. Retail development, that's why we fought so hard to bring in all these national names and not just settling for just bringing in a developer that was going to put up, a strip center with no name brand stores. They wanted something specific. This tourism piece is no different. So the landscape is forever changing. So when you look at all those different initiatives, and then again the cooperative effort between the city and the county tourisms and leadership and bringing the state into it, there's a lot of great things to come, I assure you.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And we're excited in the next couple of months to announce some of those wonderful things that are coming on. Now, the Expo Center is a very busy place right now. We have our new Expo Center director in place, Mr.
Yes.
Mazzola. Have had the opportunity to meet him. He is very excited to be here, has lots of great ideas. He's a very forward-thinking person. Of course, Steve St. John did a wonderful job. Now we have him in place, and he's very excited to bring in things. Some of the things that are coming up, and it's just a whole slate of activities, and this is just in 2 months. We have monster trucks coming up March 14th. That's going to be in a couple of weeks. Several different shows. I have already put in my request to drive one of those, so we'll see if that happens. And then the concert.
I want to see that.
Yeah, you probably do. Yeah, you and many others. March 20th, Hunter Hayes is coming. He is huge up and coming in the country music industry. Of course, he's been in country music for years as a writer and a backup singer, now with his own label and his own record out. So that's going to be another one. I know a lot of young girls are very excited about him coming, bringing back Danielle Bradbury as well. And then we have the horse show too.
Well, we finally have a date for the horse show. It's not been announced yet, but we are announcing it today.
Today, here we go. So how about it, April 5th?
April 5th, and again, it was one of the things that we worked with Betty on, is that because of the horsing industry, which is Kentucky is very well known, and there's a lot of horse enthusiasts in the area that there's a lot of great horse shows around the area, but having a venue such as the Expo Center to be put on a quality horse show, we've been very excited. So we're bringing in something. Before the city took over the venue, Jill, the Expo Center had tried some dirt events because of the cost and the complexity of hauling this dirt around. It kind of went away, and the commission has really pushed me because monster trucks is something that tractor pulls and monster trucks, I hear it all the time. Why can't we have them? So we have found a way to make some dirt, and we're going to haul some dirt, and we're going to have monster trucks. We've signed the Expo Center SMG signed a deal to have its multiple events over I think a 3-year period, and then on top of that, we're committed to the horse industry to do these horse shows as well. So, and that's why during the last show I think we talked about it, is a few things are shifting over at the Expo Center. This is the vision we've had for some time. We've had a lot of other priorities. So you see the quality of these shows, the difference in everything from being rocked out to country dunder to bluegrass to monster trucks to Disney to horse shows. I mean, it's just a plethora of different.
And that's exactly what the vision for the Expo Center was when it was built, to have those sorts of activities in a smorgasbord of events, if you will, to bring people here so people can stay at home and see these great attractions and have something for everyone.
Right.
And of course, now with the city taking over and we have our director and everything, it's going to continue to grow. We do have Billy Currington and Brett Eldridge, Chase Rice. That's going to be 5 days after the horse show is in there, so that should be fun. And then the Hillbilly Days concert on April 26th. Of course, Hillbilly Days pushed back a week this year, starting on the 24th, so we're hoping for great weather. That will be Old Crow Medicine Show with special guest Marty Stewart, which is going to draw a very exciting crowd.
It will. I'm excited about it, and
a little different from the people that we normally have here too, though.
That's where I was going with it. And that's the thing that Greg Olson, who is the regional vice president for SMG, several months ago, he and I sat down and had a very in-depth discussion. And I'll just be very candid. The commission has not been though Steve did a good job, and I don't want to discredit, what I'm saying is that they really have not been satisfied with the direction that the Expo Center was heading into, and gave some very specific direction to Greg from a regional VP standpoint of what our expectations were. And I will say that they have rose to the occasion. And I'm meeting, today is Thursday, I'm actually meeting with John today to talk about some other opportunities. And so you'll see that facility in the name of tourism, some things starting to shift and to change a little bit, and really getting invested in tourism and quality of life, because it was the vision for the facility. But where I commend SMG in the city is that, when you look at the original feasibility study, it said that a diversity in events, but more than likely wouldn't be able to ever attract any of the big names because of it being the size facility and in a rural area. And that's where I commend people like Charles Baird and Donna Dameron at the time of bringing in an SMG into the market because of the names that they are affiliated with, and to being the largest company as they are, they've been able to bring in a lot of these quality acts. So there's a lot of emphasis in being placed upon the facility now that was different than what was before. And our intent is to continue the trend and continue the growth, and to see more diverse attractions. One thing we don't have on the list here that I'll make mention of is then we're also talking with SMG about the outdoor complex that we're hopefully getting ready to build. And I'm very happy to say this is that we're looking at building the terrace seating out on the river field, so that gives us a whole nother venue to do outdoor events. It's connected to the property that the city controls with the Expo Center. So talking to SMG about maybe doing some outdoor type of events also. But we got the bids back in this week. The commission will consider the bids on Monday, and I was very pleasantly surprised that the bids came in way under what we expected them to come under. Matter of fact, about $120,000, I think $1,000 less than what we had anticipated. So, which is a great thing. So this gives us the ability of really bringing, from a budget standpoint, of bringing in another venue into the market. So I'm excited about it.
One thing we don't have on this list that's coming up the first week of March will be the 15th Region Boys and Girls Basketball Tournament. And of course, our U-Pike Bears are there every week. But the whole region gets to come to the Expo Center, the winners of those districts, of course, and that will be the first week of March. So that's a huge, huge event, a massive undertaking for the Expo Center.
Well, and I'll say it again, one of the things that we talked about the SMG is the importance of this tournament, of having this facility host this type of event. Why? It's because as you have events, whether it's high school or whether it's university ball, the memory of playing in a facility such as this will last forever, because we've got some great school systems. That's some wonderful gymnasiums, both in the city and in the county. But the Expo Center has the same the floor print as Rupp Arena does, so you get that massive feel. If you're in high school, what you may dream of if you're going to play college ball.
At the next level, absolutely.
And it also positions some of the things that the university is doing. It positions them for advanced opportunities that I know that they're working on. So again, it's a wonderful facility, and it's very important to the community because this is truly, a regional facility, and that's how it needs to be utilized. And it promotes quality of life and allows us to continue to grow and to seek other opportunities.
Absolutely. Now, we mentioned spring is just around the corner, thank goodness. I think we are all certainly tired of the cold, the ice, and the snow.
Oh, yes.
And that means that we've talked about the horse barn. So that's going to be opening up beginning somewhere around the 1st of April for trail rides and things, weather permitting, of course. I've been walking on that trail, so I have seen it is a very wide trail. It's very expansive and it's very hilly. So if you want to walk it, you're definitely going to get a workout. But also we have the river trails that will be opening up. Certainly something that I'm very fond of. And then there's a little idea of a zip line.
There, again, one ideal is folding into another, and it becomes part of a master plan, and which is where the commission is investing towards creating opportunity. One of the things that we've been talking about, both with the Regional Chamber of Commerce, the Southeast Chamber, is creating a partnership with Nashville Tourism to do an exchange type program to where hopefully they're marketing us there and vice versa. So it gives our local people the opportunity of doing something, going to Nashville on a weekend for an event, but more important, bringing those people here. And that's what we want to do. Part of the overall plan is there is some, we're looking on a go big or go home kind of deal, is the way that I'll put it, is that the commission has challenged me to go out and to look for companies and individuals that are that understand the business. If we want to grow, yeah, we can do it on a minuscule scale, and we can work through it and make it happen. But if we really want to promote tourism, we really want to bring people into the region, we need to think outside the box and a little bit bigger. So the River Trails is one example that we will open it this year. We will operate it independently. As I mentioned, Betty's taken over the riding trails, so Justin Prater is going to be taking over the River Trails this year. We have acquired a 15-passenger van. Instead of using the bus for both the trails, water trails, and the riding trails, we've got 2 separate vehicles now. So we were able to buy a used vehicle at a great savings that will be able to haul and be consistent on the river, offering that trail program. However, we also are talking to a group out of Tennessee. It's the largest river trails company in Tennessee. I think they're the second largest in the nation, that has a vested interest in taking over our trail system. Now, when I say taking over, we will probably look at doing this as under government calling a franchise agreement, meaning that if 1 or 2 companies, we'll probably limit it to maybe 3 companies maximum that could come into the community as part of the franchise. It's kind of, submit a bid, and that we will have certain rules and regulations for the river, but they are actually in the market. We brought them into the market a couple of weeks ago. They were actually looking for the possibility of acquiring property and opening up a full-scale national water trail program. If they do this, it will be, I have to say, it'll be on a national level. They're not, and I smile when I say this, because when we sat down and we talked to them about the volume that they do compared to what we do, what we found out is that they do in one day what we did all last year. Mm-hmm. So it is, again,
They're very experienced.
Very, very experienced, understand the business. They have maxed out at where they're at because they can't physically put any more people on their river trails. So the timing was perfect. They're looking for an opportunity. So we're hoping that we can formulate some kind of deal and strategy. We're actually going down to meet with them sometime within probably the next 30 or 60 days, and then we'll go back to start putting together some rules and regulations to make sure that we protect our trail system. Because what you don't want is, going back to the franchise, is to say, okay, it's wide open for everybody. One business comes in and invests, $1 million in a new business, and then all of a sudden you got 15 people and they're cannibalizing on each other. What you want, again, is that one company that understands the business, that's already vested in the business, that knows how to get the people to the trail system. So this is what we're looking at doing. So probably, in speaking strategy with them, what we're probably going to do is this year the city will operate it. They will probably end up putting a marketing person in the community towards the latter part of the year, creating a presence, and then starting building themselves up, and hopefully a 2015 launch is what we're working towards. So that's another exciting project. And the zip line is a, my good friend Reed Potter has been on me for years to pursue a zip line. Reed was served on the the Joint Tourism Board for years and years. Understands a lot about tourism, and history, and has been very instrumental in the Hatfield McCoy venues that we have done. And so, Reed came, and he's been over to Harlan County several times. Said you got to go over there and see what it's done in Harlan County. It's transformed them. Yeah. So we've been, over the last 3 months, we've done some extensive research and what is a zip line? What does it do? And it's amazing at what business that these things generate. And it's not really a zip line. It's what they call, and I'm getting educated all this stuff. It's a canopy tour, because it's a series of various obstacles. It's climbing ladders and creating rope bridges, and so it's not just about zipping. It's about the experience as a whole. And a typical tour is about 2.5 hours. We actually just met yesterday with one of the largest companies that builds zip lines in America right now. We've got another company that's coming in, hopefully, I think next week. They're fairly affordable, very affordable to design and to build. The return on your investment is really good based on the numbers that we have been presented. But more important, in order to attract the river trails folks, is they realize they can't stand on their own. They need other attractions. So, and in close proximity. And they need them where there's nice hotels and restaurants to eat in. So the reason that we're becoming so entrenched and engrossed in this tourism and why there's so much interest is the good Lord gave us what we're surrounded with. We've got the most pristine, beautiful area. I mean, these mountains are tight. It's the Appalachian region, so there's a lot of interest in it. The Half and McCoy, all this is in there. So we've been very, very blessed in what God's given to us. With that, and utilize those natural resources in a professional manner, not just going out there and haphazardly doing them.
Right.
So when you're able to create the horse trails and the river trails and then invite these experts in, there's been a tremendous response, very excited about. So over the next probably month or 2 months, the City Commission will be hearing and the public will be hearing in work sessions some of the numbers and statistics and things that we're finding out as to how we're going to proceed. Because there's no doubt about it, looking at the volume of what Harlan County's done. Lexington, one of the actually gentleman that was here yesterday, just constructed a brand new zip line trail, or canopy trail in Lexington, right by the Clay Ferry Bridge, right off I-75. It's not open yet, brand new facility, but actually they have 100,000 cars a day that goes by that facility, so I think it'll be very, very successful. It's nationally, it's got the highest volume of traffic that goes by any canopy. So these are some expert people in the field that have come in and had to advise us. Also, some of the leading manufacturers to come in to talk about what we're doing. So what we're talking about doing is the possibility of building a zip line at Bob Amos. So that way you've got everything is consolidated, and that's what people want when they travel. They don't want to have to get in a bus and go 20, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. They're willing to do that in their car, but if you're able to come here and stay at a Hilton Garden or a Hampton Inn or a Holiday Inn, and I'm leaving out some others, but not intentionally, but and still have quality places to eat, to have attractions to go to like the theater and
Right.
And then be able to go on the river trails one day. To take a riding trail the next day, to go zip lining, horseback riding.
You have a whole week's worth of activities
Absolutely.
right there.
And then you get in your car and you go to the breaks to see the gourd and this water trails company also is interested in the whitewater. They can offer some additional services there. Or you go over to Williamson and get on a four-wheeler and enjoy the Hatfield McCoy Trail. Or you go to Prestonsburg and you enjoy outdoor theater and the beautiful lake, or Stonecrest, the golf course, or there's other golf courses around them, Raven Rock and the county golf course as well. So there's great activities that surrounds us. It's all within a 30-minute drive, but yet you've got that core of those activities that becomes a destination as you're getting off an airplane or as you're driving 2 hours from Lexington. So a lot of thought that's gone into this, a lot of exciting things that will transpire. The commission keeps challenging me, and we keep progressing, and we're really excited about where we're heading right now.
As you should be. Let's talk about an agreed order.
Well, just real briefly, I'll mention is that the public has heard over the past several years that the city has been under an agreed order, because of our what they call a combined overflow. It's when the stormwater comes off roofs and ends up in your sewer line, and we have a significant event, actually the sewer plant overflows. And that was by design, that the Division of Water 50 years ago, it was mandated that all stormwater be directed instead of into the streams, be directed into your sewer lines. Then they came back under the Clean Water Act and said, no, that's not where they go, because they create these overflow problems, and then you're dumping waste into the waterways, and you got to stop that. So it became basically an unfunded mandate. Nationwide, a lot of cities across the state of Kentucky was put under an agreed order to be able to remove that stormwater then out of the tank. So we've, a lot of the neighborhoods in the area saw us come into a neighborhood after neighborhood and do smoke test, which tells us who's stormwater is tied into the sewer system. We were mandated by the federal government to declare those to be removed. I was one of the homes that was designed that way. Had to remove mine. There was many others out there as well. But I'm very happy to say that we are being removed from that agreed order. So the taxpayers of Pikeville should be happy, because there's some consequences by not going down that route. But what I'm more proud of is we're one of the first cities in the state of Kentucky to actually accomplish that. So good accomplishment on behalf. We appreciate UMG and all their hard work and what they were able to do to help the city and help the taxpayers get out of the mess that we were put into. And it's important, Jill, for those that we're beholden to, which is the voter and the taxpayers, to understand that any of this information that we talk about is accessible to them. One of the things I commend the city on is their sense of transparency. Jill, we're one of the only ones I know in the area, in the region. Unless I'm not, because I review a lot of cities' websites, but the public can go on the city's website and find any ordinance. They can find any minutes from all meetings. They can find all the bills that's ever been paid. They can find zoning guidelines, audits, budgets, everything that somebody wants to see in regard to city business is accessible by going to cityofpikeville.com, this website. And like I said, there's very few governmental agencies out there that offers those amenities, which are justly due to the public. So we're proud of that fact.
And that is cityofpikeville.com.
Yes.
We do want to mention, going back to the beginning of the show one more time, Code Red is now in place. It is a wonderful, wonderful alert system, if you will. If you have bad weather, if we know that things are coming into our area, all you have to do is go there, punch Code Red, sign up for the text alerts. You will either get a phone call or get the text sent straight to your phone. It is the one thing that you can do to help protect your family. That is in place either on the city's website or on the county's website, so check those out.
Well, it's a great service, and we urge everybody to log on. And another invitation that I'll extend also is to for those of us that are Facebook fans, is to log on to the city and like the city's City of Pikeville's Facebook page or the city's tourism Facebook page. We have close to 19,000 followers on tourism, and because there's a lot of information. I can't remember. I think it's around almost 4,000 or so on the city's page. But the 911 center actually manages that for the most part for us. So if there's an accident somewhere, and you can log on and find, or get a Facebook posting or update and log on there. There you go. I'm Greek to some of these terms. I'm on there, but I don't follow Facebook very often. But you can log on there and you'll get updates from the Pikeville Police Department on various tracks, water issues, brake leaks, all that stuff. It's all on there.
It's very transparent, very informative.
Very informative.
We're out of time.
Is it that?
A lot to cover, and we have covered most of it. Of course, we will do this again in a couple of weeks. Certainly, we'll have more great information to bring our listeners, our citizens of Pikeville, and of course, Pike County too. Donovan, always a pleasure.
My pleasure too, Jill. I appreciate it.
This has been the Pikeville City Managers Report. We hope you will join us next time.